County Senator Ambassador John Balud, and he's here this morning to speak on issues of national concern. So, wherever you are, we say thank you so much for joining us. As Ambassador Balud will be bringing us up to speed. Yesterday, we've understood he had a press conference that is now the talk of the town, calling for united opposition. I would like to say thanks a lot for joining us this time. I'd like to welcome Ambassador Balut this um money. Good morning, Ambassador. Welcome to Good Morning Liberia.
Well, good morning, and thank you for inviting me. I received your call yesterday, and considering the topics you raised and your interest in having some answers for me, I made it a priority. So we're here. Thank you so much.
And thank you for honoring our invite despite being short, and we appreciate you for that.
Well, you're welcome.
Before we go study, so I want to know a little bit about Ambassador Balut, who he is and where he's from, what he's involved with.
Well, I'm a Liberian. My father is from Palestine. My mother is from Maryland. I grew up from Maryland. Her parents are from there. I grew up in Maryland. Went to high school there. Went also sometime school in Sino County, Greenville, St. Joseph Catholic School. I graduated from the Bishop Ferguson High School. I later on matriculated to the University of Liberia. I studied civil engineering. And then later on, the war made us to go separate ways and took a significant portion of our youth from us. And then returned to the country from exile in the neighboring Ivory Coast. Participated in elections, became senior senator for Maryland County. I joined President Sirleaf in the Unity Party. And then we did what we could. And as I look back, I'm very proud of my role in the Unity Party government, very proud of the Unity Party government and President Sirleaf and all of us, Vice President Walker, and all of us that made it possible. After the Senate, I went back to the university, pursued a master's in international relations. From there, went out as ambassador to the state of Qatar. And of course, with the inception of this new government, it was deemed prudent by the authorities to recall me. And I can understand that. I came back, congratulated the president, thanked the president for giving me an opportunity to serve about 2 years almost 2 years into his administration. And so we're here. I participated in the midterm senatorial elections in Maryland, and I wasn't successful. I came back to my private life. I'm a businessman. I run some small businesses that I'm proud we're employing some Liberians are contributing to our economy. And we are relevant, and we try to ensure that we don't disappear, from the spotlight because we're not in a positive government position. We have acquired a certain status and certain consideration in this country that we are under obligation to live up to the expectation of the people to address issues in the interest of our country. So in all of that, I formed something called the We the People movement to address some critical issues. Our first march was to endorse the sanctions by the United States government on corrupt public officials. And we had that march before the American embassy. Our next march is protesting against the proliferation and uncontrollable influx of drugs, illicit drugs in the country, and the devastating effect it's having on the young people, and highlighting the complacency and the negligence of the government in dealing with these issues, and the society as a whole. We are all just crying about it, and the children are dying by the day. Now, in all of that, we're still, because we're members of the opposition bloc, we're still politicians, we focus on better. And right now, as it seems, the only cure for this government is that to ensure that they are removed from office and restored with the quality of leaders that this country deserves, so that we have the kind of governance that can ensure the quality of life that this country and the citizens of this country deserve. So when we saw what was going on in the opposition over the period, the fracturing of the opposition, the disintegration of the opposition, we frowned on that. We made moves to unite them. We made our rounds, and unfortunately, the message didn't resonate with them,
Mhm.
and the downhill trend pursue it in the public space, develop the public opinion so that not one person will be speaking, but thousands of people will be speaking around them, and letting them see the demands of the people, and hopefully they can succumb to that.
Of recent in 2022, before we come back to your press conference yesterday, you called on the government to remove youths from the ghetto, and you've one of the persons who was very pivotal in the role to call on the National 54th Legislature on passing a bill on illicit or illegal drugs in the country. What brought that feelings and that Honorable Ambassador Balu is now doing this? And when you serve as senator for Maryland County, many people say they couldn't see that. Why you decide to have this with the people, especially calling on the government for drug addicts to be removed from the ghettos?
Well, for those who say Senator Balu didn't do this when he was in office, I just say they're speaking out of ignorance
Okay.
because they don't know me. You know, there are a lot of young people today with smartphone who can write, photo write, and say what they want to say. That's their right. That doesn't deter me from being who I am and pursuing the values that I've always stood for. From day one, in fact, it was because of these very issues
Mhm.
that drew me into the legislature.
Okay.
I'm a civil engineer by profession. I was never a politician. I frown on the political class. I frown on the negligence, the complacency, the greed, the egocentric attitude that they provided, that they put forth. And I said, enough is enough. It's time for total change. All of us will have to get involved if the story will change.
Okay.
We can't sit on the fence and the same people are there doing the mess all over, and then we complain about it. So, yes, it's because of my passion for change to ensure that things are done properly. That's why I got involved. And for those who followed me, and we're talking a couple of years ago now, maybe 10, 15,
Mhm.
So anyone who is 20 years today was probably 5 years old then.
Mhm.
And if you are 25 today, you're probably 10 years old then. So I can understand the ignorance that they come to, when they deal with John Malone. But then again, for those who are old enough to understand, they will know, even though I was a member of the Unity Party, a ranking member of the Unity Party, the loudest voice in the Unity Party, I held my own party accountable. I held my own government accountable. I held my own president accountable. There were many issues that I disagreed. There were many nominations that I voted against for cabinet position. There are many bills that I voted against. There are many issues that I voted against. Even in my own government, when there was a stalled, delayed attitude towards the TRC, I was championing the cause of the TRC. So I don't want to deal with that. And to just highlight it, in the midst of all of that confusion, I, John Balud, probably one of the most respected senators in the Republic at that time, I went to election and I saw my very own institution and the highest authority of my institution campaigning against me to ensure that I don't get reelected.
Why there was a cause?
Because this is somebody who put country first. You understand me? And held
And
his own people
now we're
accountable.
parties mandate.
And that's the price you pay when you are a statesman.
Okay.
So I'm not deterred by the little petty discussion. Okay?
Mm.
So, having said that, I was the chair on the Senate Committee on the defense, security, intelligence, and veteran affairs for almost 5 years, and I was one in charge of overseeing the security sector reform of our country. We play a pivotal role in the security of our state. We finance this institution. We follow them. And don't forget, the illicit drugs that we're talking about, the Zogos that we're talking about, as much as it existed, was not as serious as today. So we did what we could, and we financed these institutions. Unfortunately, all of the measures taken that we put in place have been reduced, diluted, and minimized by this government.
How then?
Evidenced. You cut people's salaries more than half from the DEA, $78 salaries. You have the entire budget for the DEA about $400,000 to cover the entire country, fighting drugs that you need intelligence, you need security, you need manpower. That they don't have a single logistic, they don't even have vehicles in the county to work. Then you flood the DEA with almost 60% as volunteers. Volunteers. You take children with ID card, party loyalty, and you throw them into the sector. And you then go work. And they are there at all the checkpoints along our villages and towns. What do you think they're doing? They're not taking pay. They never receive salary. They've been given a badge, go and work. They are the ones facilitating the influx of these illicit drugs. And that's the crux of the matter. So if you ask me how, this is how. Now we raised the issue. We raised the issue. We flagged the issue. Almost 2 years, 3 years running. Well, we've seen the government respond to this red flag that we raised. We've seen them launch the program to deal with these, how to refer to them, disadvantaged youth.
Yesterday, they graduated award 35%.
That's what I'm saying. They launched it with millions of dollars budget. Again, I raised the issue. When you raise issues like this, you launch this thing, you don't take the money and you start feeding the Zogos in the ghettos. Because you are leaving them where they are, and you're just trying to make yourself look good to them that, oh, we care about you, and you're campaigning. You're not trying to help them. You're campaigning, and you're using state resources. The president has committed $2 million to that program. So it's a clean $2 million for them to go start community and say that this advantage you giving the children food. We told them, if you have to feed these people, you must feed them in rehab centers. You must establish the rehabilitation centers. When they go through rehabilitation, they put them through skills acquisition. When they skill acquisition, you give them a little budget or package or tool set to commence their life. And that's the way forward. And that's what we recommended to yesterday. I was impressed that they had graduation of 35. And I commend the government for that. I commend the president for that.
Over 26,000.
I'm sorry?
Over 26,000 disadvantaged youths. And then the government have 35.
Do you think that's impressive?
No, you said 36,000. I put it to more than 100,000. No, I'm saying at least there's some effort there.
Okay.
But the effort is like a drop in the ocean. It's too insignificant to celebrate as a national achievement. But it's okay with them. You build one hospital somewhere and you have addressed the health issue of the country. That's the way they think. All of these clinics that we put all over the county, hundreds of clinics and schools across the country. Today, since we left, they are without drugs. You have empty buildings. But when they build one hospital that is poorly equipped, and then you say we solve the health problems. But I'm not here to try to negate or take away from them for any little effort they made. I'll congratulate them for that. And I commend the president. Now I urge him to do more. Because when we were there, the AS grant that is there was dealing with that situation. Today, it is the challenge of rehabilitation far exceeds the capacity of the AS grant, the rehabilitation center that we were financing. Government, I propose that there be rehabilitation center in 4 to 5 regions of this country, and they are fully supported. Now, Let them continue what they're doing. Just let them do more. Let them understand that we are dealing with a serious situation. We had meetings, a group, we the people is a conglomeration now. All these other groups are fighting drugs that brought them together. We're planning a nationwide protest against illicit drugs in this country and highlighting the need to address it with the necessary vigor.
What difference would that bring?
What difference will that bring? It will amplify whatever message we have been sending. Now, I have been speaking. My group has been speaking. Other groups have been speaking. Now we're going to have the entire population speak. You understand what I'm saying? And the whole idea of this is to say, enough is enough. We don't want this in our country. They're not Liberians importing these drugs. We know where they're from. When 90% of these people are from the sub-region and unfortunately from Nigeria. Unfortunately from Nigeria. We propose to government that they need to form a strategic partnership with the DEA of Nigeria to work with our DEA to know how to deal with their own people with bringing these drugs.
Sometimes people say these drugs are imported, and the state security that are assigned to various borders or boundaries of some countries, they are the one that will always escort these people. Of recent, our reporter gave a report from Nimba where one of the LIS officers was caught in the eye, escorting drug dealers. Sometimes, in terms of strengthening the LDA, financing them, what's your call to national government? Because this is a very key area that is responsible, and the Liberian Immigration Service, the entry and the outry. What do you have to say to government as you in this advocacy?
Don't cut the people's salary. If you can increase the salary, leave it as it is. Don't pay them $78. Don't. Because your breakfast, your lunch is $78. Are we understanding? These are human beings with families, with responsibilities. You know what it is to pay rent? After paying rent, what is left? So you reduce your people to living in one room with the entire family because they have to live within that budget, the margins of the budget. You know what it is to pay transportation, go to work, to buy clothes, to treat a child? You go to any clinic today, any hospital today, they'll tell you $50 or $45 for treatment. Gone are the days when things were, the way they were. So if you want these things to stop, pay attention to the sector. Pay the people well, train them well, get all these useless group you call volunteers into the system. You undermine the system. They've done that to the health system. You have almost 60% of the health workers are volunteers without pay. They've done that to the education sector. More than 50% volunteers without pay. And you expect the things to get better?
It is what prompted them to do so.
Let me throw this question to you because that maybe is rhetorical, but I have to reduce it directly to you. If you were being paid $10 a month here, how effective would you be at work? Are you understanding me?
Sometimes you're subject upon that you want to be volunteer.
Yeah, because you got nothing to do, no choice.
Okay.
But what kind of work will you do when you come there? What is the motivation? What is the driving force? What is your compensation for the hard work you give? Let us stop fooling ourselves and think that machines we're dealing with. These are not robots; they're human beings. You listen to the press, the workers from the information ministry.
Sure.
You listen to the salaries, how it's been reduced and cut down. And this is not just there. Across the country,
The Ministry of Youth and Sports
everybody
paying $45.
$45. When we increase people's salary every year that we were in power, and they have the guts and audacity to point fingers to us and say we've done nothing. So let's come back to the issue.
Of recent,
When you say,
okay,
I don't know how many thousand, you said 20-something thousand, you assume?
yeah, 26.
26,000.
This is a joke. You have more than 1,200, 300 ghettos in this country from the DEA statistics. You know what that represents? You think that only 10% per ghetto? You think that only 5-10 for that person? No. And are just the ghettos, those who are in the ghettos. What do you think about those who are out? So no, the situation is beyond your imagination. And I think we shouldn't play with it because this is the greatest threat to the future of our country.
Your advocacy, we think, is bearing fruit. We saw of recent, I think, some part of last year, the national legislature passed the drug law, and you commended them. Sometimes people say to pass the law, to have the policy, not just stopping there, but the aspect of implementing it, because there are so many policies in Liberia that tells you don't do this, don't do that, but still people are still doing it. What do you foresee about this just passed law or bill on drug in your country?
That's why, as we commended them, and I will use this opportunity to commend them again, that drug law was before me, before my time, when we went for elections and were not re-elected. It was reintroduced, and fortunately they passed it. Okay, as we were championing it when we were there were others who were stalling the process, but thank God they passed it. We have also challenged it to go beyond the passage and supervise and maintain strong oversight over the implementation.
Okay.
But my critical stance and doubt as it relates to the resolve and the determination and the vision of this legislature is that there was once a DEA officer who accused a certain lawmaker of facilitating the drug trade or being a drug dealer. And we saw that lady grilled in front of the legislature. She almost fainted. She had to seek medical excuse to go treat herself. So that day, that hearing stopped. That's not what a serious legislature does. You pursue it because you have been impacted by public opinion. You have that responsibility. The legislature at that point was on trial, and they had to vindicate themselves. They had to draw this to some logical conclusion and let the chips fall where they may by setting example. Drugs. I mean, we talk corruption, but then now this swap on the carpet, we're not elevating it to drugs importation. So as we plan our protest, we to avoid over politicizing it, because when John Ballot in front of something, a lot of people don't see what we're doing. They want to talk about politics. This is what the man playing politics now. So I have encouraged and advised my people that we take a neutral body. Okay. So we have approached the Council of Churches to lead this march.
When is that?
And the Council of Churches has accepted. So we've had about 4 meetings already. And today should be another meeting with them. And we're planning this. We were planning it for December 15th. But when you give it to the Council of Churches, then you got to, relax it more, give them a chance, avail yourself for them to do things the way they want to do it. They probably want to change the name from protest to march, or something, whatever the case, because I'm the Council of Churches. But it left with me, we were going to go all out on that day and give the government 6 months to get the ghettos out of the country, go after the drug dealers. And if they don't do it, we ourselves are going to ask our citizens to move the ghettos from our society. You understand me? So, but having said that, and I think we've had enough on this issue, the Council of Churches has agreed, and they are now leading the process, and we are giving our full support.
So, what is your take on a 40-foot continuum of guns that have been confiscated by joint security in our country? What's your take on it?
Well, that is a serious matter, very serious matter, and I don't want anybody playing light with this, because there is an insinuation. Okay, there is an underlying insinuation.
Okay,
that members of the opposition are bringing guns in the country. No, I don't see any member of our opposition bloc, not the Unity Party, not any of our opposition blocs that would be interested or has the mentality to bring in these weapons. So it is in everybody's best interest to pursue this thing with all of our resources that we have available and ensure that the process is inclusive with people who are neutral in the society and people of standing to ensure that this matter is resolved. I And one person who said, look, when somebody's calling wolf, 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 you know the story of the wolf, wolf? When the boys down there calling wolf, somebody, wolf killing a sheep, and everybody run there and say, no, that job. Next, the wolf, wolf, and nobody take you seriously. I remember a couple of years ago, the same very government said they have foiled an attempt by some terrorists here to assassinate Americans during the independence celebration there. You understand me?
Mm.
Where are we with that kind of grave accusation? Where are the suspects you arrested? Where are the intelligence? The Americans disassociated themselves. They said they know of no such plot. Okay?
Mm.
So where did you come up with this idea? So where are we with that matter? That we had terrorists in here who were planning to assassinate Americans during the independence celebration and all that kind of stuff. And it's swept under the carpet and nobody's talking about it. Today we're talking about guns. This will not be swept under the carpet. And it should not be swept under the carpet. Because once you mention this kind of containers of guns, the Liberians are scared. People have been to war before, they know what guns can do. They are threatened, they are insecure. People will stop going out in the streets at night. People will stop having their businesses closed early. People will stop locking the doors early. People will start feeling insecure. Anybody who wants to start building a house must slow down because now we're coming fight war. That's the mentality. So they have to draw this to a conclusion. And I think the public should give the maximum support to them.
Many are saying this is a tactic, a strategy by the government to have that blame on opposition actors, that they are the one wanting to overthrow the president and the presidency. What's your thoughts on that? Especially the game blaming the opposition. People will say this is a tactic. Comments say this for opposition. What are your thoughts about
And
that?
again, I don't blame those who say those things. I don't blame them. So what's the way forward? Get a strong investigation on board and investigate this. Because if you can have it in someone's container, there are people who signed for this container. There are people whose container they were supposed to receive. How did you get access to this container? Where are those people today? Let this investigation come forth. Maybe they are correct. I'm not here to say the government is lying, but I'm saying from the history of this government and dealing with issues, people don't believe anything they say anymore. And that's a serious matter. When you as a government is not believed by the people, then you have a serious integrity issue. And that's what's bothering this country today. All right? So let them pursue this. And we will give them our support because we too want to know where these guns are coming from. If we find those people who bring in the guns, they must be dealt with the heaviest blow. Heaviest blow. And if the government will not produce this, then shame on them.
9 months to October, and this year's is the legislative presidential elections generally. Yesterday, you held a press conference concerning the collaborating political parties, of which you've had some disappointment and dissatisfaction, some at the course of last year, especially disappointment of how they have been treating themselves on ranging from the framework document and coming down to other political party, excluding or leaving the CPP. Yesterday, you said if President Weah should only have a one-term presidency, is incumbent and lies on the shoulder of the opposition bloc to have a unifying opposition or united opposition. Many were concerned. Why now? Former Senator Ambassador Balud is now cautioning and opposition political leaders when they both, all of them have made up their mind. The UP left, the part of LP left, part of LP is still there, ALP left. Why now? And why are you calling for a united opposition?
And I always respond to this, why not? Why not? I mean, if they have all left and they have all caused a very good attempt by the citizens of this country to galvanize themselves, their support, into a singular political front to ensure the greatest impact in the election in favor of the opposition.
Okay.
And they are undermining and causing it to disintegrate. No matter how far they've gone, should we give up in trying to bring them the status quo, to trying to reestablish this kind of a unity that is needed? No, we made our rounds and it's not now. You know, for the past 2 years or so, we've been talking about this. We've been talking about unity, and we've had some very strong press conferences and interviews on the matter.
Okay.
So if they're not listening, should we give up? No, I think until the die is cast, until we cross the Rubicon, I think there is still hope. And as an optimist as I am, I intend to continue pursuing this, appealing to their consciousness by bringing forth logic to the reasoning, bringing in the arguments that make sense. That's why this time I didn't just call for that, but I proposed a way forward.
What was that?
Have you had it? Do you have a copy of the press conference?
We
What?
we
Did
want
you
to.
listen to the press conference?
Yes, we want to play
Okay.
it you. Let's
Yeah.
play a little excerpt from that.
Yeah.
Want to play a little excerpt from that because we had it here. Let's okay. Let me see if I can lay my hand. Um, okay. 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 Okay.
Today, I submit a way forward. One, that Ambassador Joseph Yuma as the bearer of the United Opposition. Two, that Mr. Alexander Benedict Cruz as bystander bearer of the United Opposition. Three,
Press conference. Um. Of I want to. No, no, no. Okay. Yesterday that was the episode of the press conference. You need those willpower. Somebody would like to think, how would that be possible?
well, like I said, I'm just proposing something
Okay.
because sometimes when you are falling apart, it's because you've not been able to form a consensus on the way forward. And sometimes the options you've been, considering were not attractive. They didn't give the kind of security. They didn't give the kind of assurances.
Hmm.
So what I'm saying here is clear. Today, His Excellency Joseph Newman Bota is the most popular opposition figure in the country. He is the face of the opposition. He is the head, the leader of the opposition. And I've also said this. Alexander Benedict Cummings is the most competent person running in the race for the presidency. This man brings a certain degree of knowledge, experience, connections, huh,
Mhm.
vision to rebuild our economy. Today, our number one problem in this country It's the economy. Our people are without jobs. This country is without industry. We do not have a manufacturing sector.
Mhm.
All of these things are virtually and practically non-existent. You need a certain discipline to be instilled. All of these coming brain. Joseph Boaka years of experience, his knowledge of where we're from, where we are, and where we can go is there intact. This is a man of almost integrity that remains intact after staying 12 years in power. This is a man who has remained the most accommodating that I have met. I've worked with this man for 9 years in the Senate. We compare notes on regular basis. So I'm just saying to you, these two represent the best we have. Why should we be compelled to choose one or the other when we can have the both of them? And any one of them going for elections as a divided opposition, we have some serious difficulties. Don't forget, you're not going against coalition, Congress for Democratic Change. You're going against a coalition of democratic change. You understand that?
Mhm.
That's a merger. That's a coalition. That's a conglomeration of political parties. And you cannot go out there single-handedly. And you cannot go out there with this uh, 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 jointed and divided opposition. You can't. Now, if Ambassador Barker and Mr. Cummings go together as president and vice president, believe me,
That would be your best ticket for like
first round victory.
for the opposition.
Anybody thing we go for run off will be seriously investigated because it will be a first round victory. It's an absolute certainty. And where we are today, we can't play with this country. And so they should stop, what's going on, and revert to status quo. I urge them to call a meeting of the original four and ask themselves, how did we get here? Where do we go from here? You get me? And I ask them as they pursue this thing and they think about it, let them think about these hundreds of thousands of children that are in school. Let them think about these kids still in kindergarten.
Were you able to reach
Let them
out
think
to
about
them
the hundreds of
individually?
thousands and millions of young people without jobs. You know what it is to be a 25-year-old, 27-year-old, and you're just walking around talking about Chelsea and Baka? You know what it means?
You
I mean, the thing about the elderly, that all of our old people are here without any safety net, no social security. Nobody know how they eat. The children dump the children on them, the grandchildren on them. Somewhere Clarita and the grandma will be there with 3 children. None of them going to school. She's not working.
Have you met with them on this issue?
The leaders of the opposition.
opposition.
Of course. Like I said, I made my rounds with them repeatedly, a couple of them. Huh? With the exception of maybe Senator Lawrence, who didn't have, too much, who didn't have the opportunity to go to it. But Ambassador Barker, his other comments, and then Nigeria,
What were the
we
responses?
had it meetings with them. And no, I don't go into, what we discussed, but it's just enough for me to say
Okay.
the feedback I got from them was not encouraging. It was not promising. There was no sight of unification, So that's what I found on it when they completely broke the CPP. Some of you saw my emotional outburst.
We saw that, and
Okay.
on different opinion polls, many thought and said uh, the center normally should go as the Liberia to Ambassador Boakai. Somebody will say, why would you now want to bring an ABC who believe and wanted go for a convention or something like that? Why would you now go for ABC and Boakai?
Well, let's make this clear. Mr. Cummings on his side is exploring vice presidential candidates.
Okay.
You know that, right? He's wanting to be president, so now he's exploring options. So who to select as his vice president?
Okay.
Ambassador Walker wants to be president from the other side. Of course, he's exploring within his rank and files who he can choose. And you know that people who are supporters of other people are proposing their own, preferred candidates. Which is nothing wrong with that. This is a normal exercise. And all of the people they're talking about, to be even considered, it means that you are someone of substance. So Senator Lawrence is someone of substance. And I respect her. I worked with her in the Senate. I know her. Okay?
Okay.
She held me in high esteem, and I held her in high esteem. She was one of the cream of the Senate that I could partner with on critical issues. Okay?
Definitely.
So I'm just saying to you, that's the internal selection process and lobbying within the separate groups.
Okay.
But we're talking about uniting these people. And any other group other than the Joseph Boaka and the Zana communist ticket will be a difficult ticket.
It would be very difficult. 7 minutes to go. Use that time to talk to more callers. The only way to Liberia's greatness or progressing forward and living from where we are is the JMB ABC ticket 0770-907-907 Ambassador John Balut is here this morning. You've been following. Let's take our very first caller from Lawan. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your name, where you calling from? Let's hear you 30 seconds quickly.
Yeah, I'm Will Smith, and I'm joining you from Hartford, Marietta County.
Let's hear you, Mr. McGuire. 30 seconds.
Yeah, I just want to say you are studio guest. You not come to deceive people in this country. No, you got you. This is not the time that you think you want to there for me. After you have children.
This is a recommendation, and he's not choosing. He's recommending, and he believes this is the best option.
No, but what I'm saying is that they cannot get for me on their side now. They are already disgraced. They are already disgraced.
Thank you. 30 seconds. Good morning.
Good morning, brother.
Your name, where you calling from? 30 seconds quickly. Let's hear you.
My name is Mr. Mitchell calling from PZ. I want to join the open-minded discussion as to see our political future of Liberia. Let me be blunt to you. Mr. Cummings is not humble. And then when the CDC came together, everyone had the idea and saw the vision that Cummings would accept to be on the better running mate. Because corporation management is not nation governance. Taking 30 president and go and become the superintendent of disability surgery doesn't make it to governize and to govern 4.5 million people. So the thing is, you have to learn from the older person, and one day you succeed.
Okay.
If Mr. Kundo was humble, long time, it would have been fine for them.
Thank you.
But it's written a certain prophet.
Thank you. 30 seconds, please. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Your name and where do you call from?
Yeah, my name is Martin Party calling from Brazil.
Go ahead, sir.
30 seconds, quickly.
Yeah, so what I want to say this morning to your studio guest is that I think the opposition bloc have is very serious minded people. I think even when I come here, we should bring suggestions so that we can be able to transform this country. The opposition, there are no change to this country, so we can't take them serious. So we are 2023, stay home.
Okay. This person, good morning.
Good morning.
30 seconds. Let's hear you. Go ahead, brother. Let's hear you. 30 seconds.
So I want to speak on the issue of the information people are taking drugs from the country. Okay, you take drugs from the country and then there is no job. You take drugs from the country and there is no job for the people. Another thing, the first thing I think they say the leader should create job for the people and then the next thing take the drugs from the country. Now, even when you no drug the people, yes, what's the deal? Found something to do. And another thing to the country issue. The president said we should be secure for ourselves. So I don't mind coming. I sure make it. We know how to come in this country. So,
Thank you.
Good morning.
good morning.
30 seconds. Anywhere you call it from? Let's hear you. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Please go ahead.
Yeah, we'll talk to our mothers, our brothers. It half of million, half of foreign district. We'll talk to our family that what Joseph have not done for 2 years in government. He cannot do it for the people to talk to. We don't want him here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This person, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, my dear brother.
30 seconds. Anywhere you call it from?
Thank you. My name is Kesari Baza, and I joined you from Australia this morning.
Well, let's hear you, brother.
Let me just say quickly. I know the former senator in the studio there, John Palu, I know him very well. The senator at the time when he was senator, he was just a bluffing senator. That is exactly what I know him for. You see him, he just bluffing.
Yeah. The last caller. Good morning. You are the last caller. Your name, where you call it from? 30 seconds.
Yeah, good morning.
Let's hear you
Go
quickly.
ahead.
30 seconds and you where you come from.
Okay, thank you. I'm Mohammed looking to Bujo Allen.
Okay.
Let me say good morning to Senator Balu. Once a senator, always a senator. I said quietly this morning, and like what I've been listening to the senator on many occasions since the confusion begin in the CPP that today CPP has played a part. Listening to him and get his sound clear. And this is what some of us was saying. With the hearing of Liberian people working the CPP, if it could have done then with this confusion. And I just want for someone to understand. For someone to have been star president for 12 years and coming back again to be a star president to another party, it is with a what share.
Okay, my brother. Thank you.
That's what the
Thank you.
have understand.
Okay.
To don't break down the whole of us.
Thank you, my brother. We don't have no time. Our news will be up next. Ambassador should listen to they call a whole lot of them. I go in online and the others, as usual, most everybody will not be for the same side. To listen to them, just in comparison, I will feel your party coming quickly because we have our news next.
Well, this is precisely the issues raised in my statement. And I hope you can play it for everyone to
We
listen.
will play it. We will play it.
You see, I said with the level of bad blood that we have between the different sides in the opposition bloc, if we do not reconcile now, it will be almost an impossible, a very daunting task to reconcile them in one time and run off. Listen to the kind of way they're still antagonistic. Okay? These are all fanatics now from the different sides. If we do not reconcile it now, we'll not be able to reconcile it in 1 month to election, to run off, during the runoff, because they're assuming that anybody go to run off will support the other. It's not automatic. You listen to the callers. I'm not surprised. This is what I know it is today. And this is why they need to unite. We've both proposed a agreement. Waka go as president. Cummings goes as vice president. Yombling Kanga Lauren goes as Senate pro tempore. You understand? We signed a document that said after Waka, it will be Cummings. We signed a document that said when Cummings' time reaches, he must take his vice standard bearer from Liberty Party. Everyone is a winner. We signed a document that says that the ALP will be significantly included in the government. All of them have their space. They can continue to sign all the other protocols, okay? And until they realize that we are all in this together, we'll continue to destroy ourselves. And all of these things is exactly what the CDC government wants. The CDC government right now, they're hoping for election to come tomorrow while the opposition is still divided. Because the minute you hear that Joseph Newman Walker and Alexander Cummings have come together and the entire CPP has come back together, we will win all of the legislative seats and we'll win this election first round. This is the greatest nightmare for CDC.
Okay.
This is the political diarrhea, political dysentery. This is what makes them sleepless at night. I urge the Liberian people, I urge the political leaders of the CPP to forge a new beginning and give them that political diarrhea that they deserve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator John Balu. Was our prime guest here in Benya this morning talking on issues of national concern, folks. So thank you so much. My name is Gibson Salam Benya. Up next is our half-minute news from our News and Current Affairs Department.
Good morning, Voice of Liberia News at 10. I'm Lorena Cole. At least 30 at-risk youth has graduated